What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Dieting from the Inside Out. If you are new here, welcome to the show. My name is Jared Hamilton, and I am so excited that we're doing this again. I'm telling you guys, I enjoy doing this so much. Like, the podcast is one of my favorite things to do. It brings me so much joy, and I know it helps you guys, and it's just such a cool thing. So I really appreciate you being here. Now, I've got another solo episode coming at you today. I've got some really cool guests that are getting lined up right now. Like, I have this whole list of guests that I'm really excited to bring to you guys. Some of them are returning guests, some of them are brand new, and I am really excited to bring those to you. So if there's anyone that you would ever like to see me have on the show, like let's say there's another show that you really like, and you're like, man, I would love to hear Jared and this other person just like riff and do their thing. Let me know, shoot me a message and tell me. And then, if enough of you guys want like the same person, then I'll literally do whatever I can do to make it happen. So thank you so much for being here. Now, before we get into all of the goods, big thank you to the sponsors of the show. Sponsor number one is Flexpro meals. And I know I sound like I'm beating the same drum, but like they're just that good, guys. I love my Flexpro meals. I just made an Instagram post about it yesterday. The thing is with Flexpro, at the end of the day, like we all thrive off convenience. Our lives are completely predicated on convenience in most cases. Like I was just speaking to a lady just the other day. She says she eats out literally like every single day. And then like cutting down was still like eating out like 3 days a week. Well, and that's the thing, not that that's like good or bad, but that can be really hard on your budget, but then also really hard on like your overall like goals and health if you're eating fast food every single day. Because we know anything is good in moderation, but at the end of the day, we have to make sure there's a balance here. We don't want it all on one side or all on the other. And for me, Flexpro helps fill those gaps really, really well. Because when I have days personally where I'm just all over the place, my schedule's unpredictable, things are going either really well and things are busy, or things are like not so great and I'm putting out fires all day. Always having like had these meals in my fridge just like on deck is so helpful because they taste good. They're made by a chef. They're always coming to my door every month, but then also like I know they're good for my goals. They're dialed in where the calories are at. They're all high protein and they taste amazing. So when I'm between stuff and I don't have time to make food, or I forget to make food, or to be honest, I don't want the chicken and rice that I have in the fridge, a lot of times this works really, really well. So big thank you to them for being a sponsor of the show. And if you guys ever want to check them out or see about getting any of their stuff, I want to save you some money, and they're letting you guys have 20% off. So you can use my code at their website, flexpromeals.com, use my code Hamilton Trained, and not only does it support me, but it also will save you a bunch of money. So huge thank you to them. Then sponsor number two, I'm again wearing more of their stuff because their clothes are my favorite. First Form. When it comes to your goals, we all know supplements are not the end all be all. They are not like your goals are not predicated on your supplement intake, but they do fill the gaps. And a lot of times it goes back to the whole convenient side of things. If you know you're not eating enough fruits and vegetables, having a $20 multivitamin can really help fill in those holes. If you suck at getting your protein intake in from real whole foods because you just have a hard time with it, then having a protein shake or protein bars or protein snacks all the time or on deck and at your house can be super, super convenient and help streamline your goals even more. So it's just one of those things where there are so many gaps in most people's programs and stuff. Like let's say your recovery is like mine and it's not very good. So taking extra stuff for like my joints or things like creatine for recovery or what have you can be really, really game changing. But on top of it, First Form is just like the best that you'll be able to find. Good luck finding the protein powders, protein bars that taste better, that are also made to the quality that theirs are, while keeping everything else in check from like the company standpoint and how they operate. You just can't get any better. But if you find in the description below, you'll find my link for that and it'll save you some free shipping. And it's a game changer. So big thank you to them. Now let's get into the nuts and bolts of the show, because today's episode is one that just kind of like, I actually wasn't going to do it on this. I was not going to be necessarily doing it on this subject, but we had a really good talk in the Fat Loss Simplified group yesterday about this. And if you're not part of that community, you're missing out on not just an amazing community, a really great like home base for you, but literally some of my best content goes into that group. And it's just where I'm at every single day. My team's at every day, and you're missing out on a lot if you're not in that group. I'll leave a link in the description below to add yourself. It's totally free. But we're going to talk today about how to fix your relationship with exercise. Because like, as we know, the the podcast is called Dieting from the Inside Out, and I'm all about this inner game as it applies to weight loss and all of those things. But too often, because of some same diet culture problems, a lot of people struggle with their relationship with exercise and training, where it's this punishment. It's got all these negative vibes around it, and it's like this debilitating thing where it's like almost triggering. Let's say in the past, like in high school or maybe not too long ago, you've always viewed exercise as punishment, where you have to beat yourself up and like you're going to the gym because you're a fat piece of shit and you're not good enough. Well, like that's triggering as hell. And that's not an okay place to keep your relationship with exercise, because that's like, if you think about it, if your wardrobe is triggering to you, if your food is triggering to you, if exercise is triggering to you, it's like good. You're not going to be able to be successful with this stuff until we fix these relationships. So I haven't really talked about on the show how to fix your relationship with exercise. And I think it's a really, really important discussion to have, because if you have this like almost like toxic relationship with exercise, like a toxic relationship with like a boyfriend or a girlfriend, then it's going to be really hard to get ahead of this thing. So that's what we're going to talk about. Also, if you are into, I forgot to mention this, if you are into watching your podcasts and not just listening to them, this is also on YouTube as well. So throwing that out there. So let's talk about, and if you see me looking around on the YouTube, I'm going back and forth on my notes because my ADHD brain wants to go all over the place. So here's the thing. There's, at the end of the day, when it comes to where most people have hurt their relationship with exercise, there's a few different places. It's very similar like how people have hurt their relationship with food or whatever, but we're going to really lean in on this episode to your relationship with exercise. Number one is most people use exercise as punishment, right? Like you binged last night, so you're at the gym doing cardio to try to burn it off or to like punish yourself or whatever. A lot of times people have just negative associations with exercise, like these old beliefs of like, you have to be sore. It has to be in a gym. It has to be hours on end, things like that. It can't be an enjoyable process. So like, that's a big issue. So anything that might be enjoyable or might not have to do with dumbbells, they almost don't consider it to be exercise or training or a good habit. So at the end of the day, we have to look at where our relationship with exercise got hindered or hurt at. You may have bad stories and associations from what you were taught. You may have had a really bad trainer who's just like, no pain, no gain. You've got to want it, worse and worse and worse. And you've got to beat yourself into the dirt, like drill sergeant vibes. You may have had a parent who like that you just modeled your behavior with dieting. Like most people, most of the ladies we talk to in our coaching program, like mom put them on Weight Watchers at like 11, 12 or 13. Well, then you see mom exercising, trying to burn everything off, or, I've been bad, I got to go work it off, or whatever the case is. We see that all the time. So a lot of times when we're as helpless children, we picked up our meanings and associations from our parents. So that's the other place where some of these things can happen. There's a million options, to be honest. There's a million reasons why. And I'm not, honest to God, too concerned about how you got the relationship with exercise problems. I'm more concerned with deploying the actions against that to fix it, so you have a great relationship with exercise and training, so you can make these goals happen that you need so bad and that you want so bad. Because here's what you have to understand, just to give you a little bit of the why behind all this. Because I think personally that the more you understand the reasons, the way like our brains work the way they do around this stuff, you now have an easier time getting around it. So you have to understand this. Our brains are just a record of the past, and they gravitate to what's familiar. I'm going to say that again. Our brains are just records of the past, and then we naturally unconsciously gravitate to what's most familiar. So from the record of the past, if you have only used exercise as punishment, as a disciplinary thing, as if it's not in a gym, it doesn't count. If you have to like not walk the next day, like because you were so beat up from leg day, otherwise it doesn't count, whatever it may be. If that's all you've ever known, then your brain just assumes that's true. That's the only way. Our brains are a record of the past. But then here's the scary part. Our brains and our nervous systems unconsciously drift or sabotage or gravitate towards what we have most familiarity with. So if you have had, let's say just you've struggled for the last decade and you're 2 weeks on the other side where you're not struggling, well, it's no wonder you're sabotaging towards the old struggle. If you've always viewed exercise as like a punishment and it's something where you have to like earn your worthiness and you have to grind and go fucking hard and more diet culture nonsense, and now you're 2 weeks into like trying to like instead of going to the gym and training leg day for 3 hours or running like you're in a marathon, you're just like taking your dog on a walk. it's no wonder why you'll unconsciously like, oh, maybe I should go do more another lap. Maybe I should work a little bit harder. Maybe I should go more intense. I was bad yesterday, so now I got to go work it off today. It's no wonder we drift back that way. So you have to understand that's how your brain is made. It's why, like, whenever I'm teaching about sabotage, it's one of those things where like our brains are chemically designed to sabotage, because we're always like, it's why I say we're either growing or dying. We're either constantly moving forward or drifting back and decaying. It's one of the two. So where the thing with the brain though is it always gravitates to what we have the most amount of familiarity with. This is why, how do we change this is two things. We have to change the meanings, but then we also, like the meanings and the associations, but then we also have to go to create a new familiar. If all you've ever known is exercise is pain, suffering, punishment, and negative, and that's all you ever have history with, it's no wonder that's your reality. So part of this game is to fix this, is to create these new meanings and new associations, but then a new record of the past. We have to create these new things where like we attack exercise where it's not punishment, then you get a good result. Now your brain is opening up a new neural pathway and it's like, oh, I don't have to suffer. I don't have to beat myself up to have these results happen, because that's what we're doing. This is why it's going to feel awkward. If all you've ever done is use exercise in these diet culture things as like over here in like bad, we'll call it bad land, and now you're on the other side, it's going to feel awkward. Just as if someone who, like, this is a really kind of nasty analogy, it's just as if a child was abused their whole life. Every night before they go to bed, they had the shit beat out of them. Now they come to stay with you and you're not going to do that. It's going to be awkward, them not getting the shit beat out of them every night. It's like, oh, you're not going to hit me? You're not going to like yell and scream at me? Oh, this is weird. It's a great thing, but of course it's going to feel awkward because it's against the familiar. So if it feels awkward, that means you're doing it right, but also that means it's a threat to your brain, which is why sabotage is right around the corner. So this is why we have to go about this from multiple angles, not only creating this new plan, but creating a new familiar in a new record of the past, but also new meanings and new associations. Because you have to understand, when it comes to this stuff, it's not necessarily about the event that happens to us, but it's about the meanings that we attach to the event. Right? This is why you'll have an event happen and you'll have someone, let's say, like for example, let's say a really common one is you see a household that has like a really shitty dad, for example, and you have two kids, let's say two boys. One boy goes to be honest, just in the dad's footsteps and becomes a piece of shit. And that was the mean. They're like, oh, I'm just going to be like dad. And they go down the wrong path. But the other boy is like, no, I'm never going to be like that man. And then they go to do some crazy, awesome stuff with their life. It's because you had the same event happen, but we took two different meanings to it. Is this making sense? This is why it's not necessarily about what happened to you. Like, I hold space for that. We always do, but we have to create new meanings and new associations, because that's what changes everything. So let's kind of like unpack this a little bit. So for you, the question is, what old beliefs and stories, meanings and associations around exercise do you have right now? Think about it. Like right now, sorry, my allergies are bothering me. So like right now, what beliefs, stories, meanings, and associations do you have around exercise? Is it that you have to be sore, otherwise it was wasted? Is it has to be in a gym or it doesn't count? Is it that you have to hate it? Like the thought of like enjoying training and exercise is not okay? Is it that it has to be long? Like unless you're training for an hour and a half every day, like it's not worth it? Is it that you have to sweat a lot? Is it that it has to burn really bad? Is it that you have to do this because you hate yourself? Right? What associations do you have with exercise? If I say, go to the gym, what comes to mind? Is it, or is it, yeah? I'm not saying we have to enjoy training all the time. I'm not saying we have to like love every second of it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying though, is if you have nothing but negative associations, negative beliefs, and horrendous meanings with exercise, we got some problems, right? Like, let's say going to the gym is triggering for you. I totally get it. But how do you feel about going on a walk? How do you feel about like, just like maybe doing yoga, maybe about taking up a hobby, like I do jujitsu, right? When I think of me going to jujitsu, I'm excited, looking forward to it. But guess what? I also get a fucking crazy workout in, right? This is why it goes back to one of the things that we teach inside of coaching is if optimal is not practical, it's no longer optimal. So I'm less concerned with the optimal program that you hate and giving you a program that gets you to your goals, but you also love every second of the way, or you love the majority of the time. So for you, it would be helpful right now if you took inventory over what beliefs, stories, meanings, and associations exercise has for you right now. Okay. Because because then we have to do this. We can't have two beliefs coexist in the same space. You can't believe that, exercise is only punishment, nothing else. And no, it's because I'm worthy and deserving, and it doesn't have to be punishment. Like those are total polar opposites. They can't occupy the same space. So it's one of those things that we have to unlearn the old to relearn the new. So much of this game inside of like achieving whatever it is you want to achieve is all about, we have to unlearn the old. One of the things that like people ask, like, what do you look for inside a client? Like when it comes to coaching, and there are a few things we look for, but specifically is one, like someone that is able to unlearn, that is comfortable unlearning, because until you unlearn, you're not going to relearn the new things that are going to change your life if you're operating by the old stuff. It just isn't going to work. So then the question is, what are new belief stories? What are new beliefs, meanings, and associations and stories that you need to believe, right? Even if you don't believe them yet, right? That's okay. We'll get there. But like on paper, what meanings, associations, beliefs, and stories do you need to believe to get to where you want to be? What around exercise to heal this thing? How about that exercise can be fun? How about that I do it because I love myself, not because I hate myself? Right? I'm choosing to exercise because I deserve more out of life, and I deserve to love the way I look and feel, and to have energy and feel amazing, not because I'm a fat hog that doesn't deserve happiness. There's a big difference there. What about that it's supposed to make you feel good? What if it's that you are worthy of it? What if it's because you are deserving to have the life you want, and you are deserving to feel good and look good? What if it's that it doesn't have to be a lot? What if it like exercise can totally be 20 minutes? What if it doesn't have to be in a gym? What if it could be at home? What if it could be in your park? What if it could be walking your dog? Right? Like that's the thing is what I don't want you to do is take this talk and then just like try to force go to the gym even harder. That's not what I'm saying. To be honest, most of you that this is hitting home with, you actually need to scale back. For most of you that you think exercise has to be crazy, extreme, and as a punishment in the gym for hours on end, I would literally have you like, nope, don't go to the gym for the next 3 months, only go on walks and listen to your favorite music. And we have to bring positive associations to this. Does that make sense? So this is literally how we do it with clients. We've had so many clients that will come through like our gates, so to speak. And their relationship with exercise is really rocky, but we have to be able to fix that. So the answer is not going straight into the crazy workouts. To be honest, it's giving the brain that new familiar, new associations. We have a lot of people, we won't even start in the gym, right? We'll have people that will start like with just walking 3 days a week, listening to your favorite music, listen to a podcast. Then that gets better. Then it's like, okay, let's start then maybe with at-home workouts for only like 20, 25 minutes. Then we'll go to the gym. Only walk though. Don't go be crazy like in the weight room yet. Don't go, spend hours on the machines, or it's really individual, but you get what I'm saying, where we have to slowly like almost condition our like exposure therapy, where you're slowly bringing it up from there, but we have to almost scale back and go against the old conditioning. So if you feel like your workouts have to be in a gym, they have to be suffering, they have to be punishment, then it's like, well, no, we have to go way over here and expose your brain and nervous system to, working out doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be punishment. We're doing this because we love each other or love ourselves and things like that. Because then what's going to happen, you're going to get results and your brain's going to go, oh, and it has a new reality that it can't argue with. This is how we approach it with like if you've watched my content on how to fix your relationship with food, it's the same thing. You think these foods are bad. We get you to eat them and lose weight. And all of a sudden your brain goes, oh, I get it now. That's all we're doing with exercise as well. So let's talk about ways we can fix this, because I know we're already like 20 minutes in. So let's talk about some ways that we can fix this relationship with exercise. Number one of my favorite things to do, and most of you won't do it because it sounds weird, but it's a game changer. I want you to write an inner child letter. about exercise. What I mean by that is at some point in time, probably when you were younger, you took this association that exercise is all those old beliefs. Exercise is bad. It has to be punishment. It has to be in the gym. It has to be hours on end. It's because you're not good enough, whatever it is. I want you to, whatever age, think of like, close your eyes and think about when that became a thing. Was it when mom put you on the diet at 11? Was it when you started watching what she did? Was it when you were in 8th grade and all of your friends are like doing stupid things because they want to be tiny? Like, where did that come out? More than likely, it was when you were younger. Well, I want you as the adult, write a letter to that version of you. Literally write a letter as if she's right there or if he's right there. Literally write a letter to that version of you, knowing what you know now. Right? As in, that letter may look like, hey, Sally, whatever your name is. Hey, first of all, thank you for doing that when we were little. Like, I appreciate you doing your best, but I'm here to tell you, we don't have to do that anymore. I know you had really good reasons in the past for treating, exercise like punishment and for, feeling like we have to suffer to make things happen. But I'm here to tell you, we don't have to do that right now. And you're literally just writing a letter like that. I'm telling you that, and then implementing those new beliefs that exercise doesn't have to be torturous. It doesn't have to be because you're suffering. Now we exercise because we're worthy of happiness and because we deserve to feel good and look good, not because we're undeserving, not because we hate ourselves. That's not the way to do it anymore. And I'm here to give you permission to let go of that. I'm telling you, half of you motherfuckers are going to think that's hopey dopey and airy fairy. The other half of you are going to do it and go, wow, that was powerful. And you'll probably get emotional and heal through this thing. That's the first thing I want you to do. So the second thing I want you to do is we now have to start a new plan that forces the new beliefs and meanings. Like I said, like, what are the old beliefs, meanings, and associations and stories? Okay. We have to let those go. Now, what are the new ones? And I want you to write all those out, but now we have to build a plan from that. So that would mean honestly scaling back. That would mean only, let's say, for example, we only working out 3 days a week instead of 5. That would be, instead of going to the gym, just start walking. That would be reinforcing that, let's say we're going to the gym or going to train or exercise because we love ourselves and because we are deserving of happiness and feeling our best and being healthy, not because I'm a fat piece of shit that overate last night. There's a big difference. Whatever that plan may be for you, we have to build that plan off of the new meanings, associations, and stories and beliefs. And then lastly, start. But here's the thing you have to understand. It's going to get rocky. You're literally going against years or decades of conditioning. That's what we're fighting. We're not fighting bullshit. We're not fighting like laziness. We're fighting years of old conditioning. For the past 20 years, you've been like, exercise is punishment because I'm a fat piece of shit. And now you're like, I'm going to scale back because I love myself. Like, sabotage is right around the corner. This is, to be honest with you, why most people like get our help with this, because it's really hard to fight these old conditioning things on your own because you're operating unconsciously. Right. So that's it. That's literally it. That's all I want you to do. I want you to establish and recognize the old beliefs, stories, meanings, and all of that around around exercise, like the associations, all the bad stuff that you're going to let go. We're going to write down all the new beliefs, stories, associations, and meanings now that you're going to choose to believe. Then we're going to write that inner child letter. You're going to build a new plan off of the new meanings, associations, and stories and beliefs. Then you're going to start. And that's it. That's literally all I want you to do. And it's going to get rocky, but it's supposed to. All right. Now, here's the thing. If you need help with this, let me just throw this out there. If you need help with this, and you really want to streamline this to where you want the best possible chance of success because you're not working just against your brain, you could always apply for coaching. This is literally one of the biggest things that people get help with me and my team from with all of this stuff. Because at the end of the day, anytime we're fighting this deeper level stuff, it's not like we're just dialing in calories and macros. That's not it. Like, of course, that's part of this. But when we're dealing with like sabotage, all or nothing thinking, food relationships, scale anxiety, knowing what to do but not doing it, old mentalities, inner child, relationship with exercise, relationship with food, you're not just up against like calorie deficit. You're up against literally the unconscious side of you, the old self that's been running in charge for the past 20 years. This is why, by the book, people diet for years and decades, which means this is also why unfortunately, it's one of those things most people take these struggles to their grave because it's really hard to work through these things on your own. So If you want to keep rocking with it on your own, cool, more power to you. If you're tired of rocking it on your own, you want help, you want these results in a faster and more sustainable way that isn't like you've going through all these potholes on your own where someone can just say, nope, turn here, and don't go in the potholes. You can always apply for coaching. And here's the thing, I will leave a calendar link in the description for this reason. Here's the thing, because you're here on the podcast and we're doing some really special things with the podcast that's about to start. What I'm doing is I am rewarding you here on the podcast because you're here listening to me talking to a mic for 30 to 60, 90 minutes. So I want to reward that. And for just the podcast listeners only, I do have a special offer when it comes to coaching. But to get all it's basically when you sign up for coaching, you're going to get basically about around $4,000 worth of other stuff for free. That would normally cost you around $4,000. I'm going to be giving that to anyone who applies for coaching from the podcast and gets accepted totally for free. Now, here's what you'd have to do though. Just go to there's a Calendly link in the description. It's a special podcast one, so my team knows you came from the podcast. And then what happens is before we do anything, I want to make sure that number one, we learn more about you, your situation, what's going on. Then I know for a fact that we can help change your life in 180 everything. Because my philosophy is if I don't think we can absolutely solve your problems in 180 your life, I don't want your money. Literally, we will politely tell you, hey, we don't think we're the right people for you. So on top of that, would be getting all that shit for free. So I will leave a Calendly link in the description where you can schedule a application call with my team. They'll they'll learn about you, go over everything, go over options and all of that. Then, assuming everything checks the boxes, we can move forward and literally you can start you can, how do I say it? I always say it like this. You can, it's the start to the end of your struggle. There we go. So, and that's it. But yeah, that's it. Now that's it for today's episode. But whether you're going to take advantage of that offer or not, I do have a bunch of other free things in the podcast or in the description. So number one, please, if you got a lot of value out of this, be sure to subscribe and leave a review because that's the only way we can get these podcast numbers the podcast to higher numbers and go through the ranks. This is how the game works. But also more importantly, if you got a lot of value from this, I don't want this information staying just here or just in your brain. I want you to share this. If you got a lot of value out of this, I want you to either send it to a friend, share it on your story, or send it to where someone else can see it that matters to you, because you sending them just this one episode may totally change their life. So be sure and do that. But I also have a bunch of stuff in the description. I have my Fat Loss Simplified community where if you don't have a home base, where you just want a free spot where you can get help, get support, get loved on, and get your questions answered, I have that there. You can add yourself. If you aren't following my smaller socials, like if you like the shorter form content, like go follow me on Instagram and TikTok, and like YouTube Shorts, because I got a lot of really short, rapid fire content there that you'll get a lot of value out of. If you haven't been subscribed to the YouTube yet, I have not just like other content on my YouTube, but I have all these podcast episodes published there. So you can go check those out, youtube.com/Jared Hamilton, or the links in the description. Then also I have my entire free course. I have a whole free course if you're just not sure how to get started with this weight loss game, because it's also overwhelming and filled with diet culture. I have a link down there for you as well that you can go through. It's a free email course. But then also don't forget down there is that Calendly link where you can schedule a call with my team to take advantage of all that like $4,000 worth of free stuff if you sign up for coaching and really streamline your results and get on the other side of this thing. So that is it for today's episode, guys. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for your love and support. I cannot wait to see your success, and I will talk to you next time.